Hey guys, Eitan, welcome back to my show Breaking Bread, the show where I use food as a vehicle to drive open, honest, and thought-provoking dialogue about some of the most pressing issues going on in the world today with some of the most influential people I know. Today I have the honor of being in the kitchen with Freddie. You may recognize Freddie from Ladylike, from Buzzfeed, and we are in the kitchen today cooking mashed potatoes, which little does Freddie know is literally one of my favorite foods in the entire planet. I'm super excited to have you.
Thank you so much, Eitan. I'm so excited to be here. I'm excited to cook with you. I'm excited to learn the best garlic mashed potato recipe on the planet. Yes, I'm gonna hold you to it, so I'll be the judge at the end. And yeah, I'm really excited to be here. I'm excited to cook and chat about some stuff.
All right, let's do it. Yes, as always with Breaking Bread, we'll also be talking about a great topic, which we'll get to once we are taking the skin off our potatoes. So that is actually the first step. Let's just jump right in because it takes some time. You got some potatoes out over there?
I have some potatoes.
All right, awesome. So let's now peel our potatoes while we are talking.
Okay, the funny story though, you gave me an ingredient list of things to pick up at the grocery store, and I literally almost walked out without the actual potatoes, which is pretty on brand for me. But, you know, all is well. I have everything you told me to get.
I could top that. About 20 minutes before we started filming, I realized I forgot the butter and ran to the supermarket, got back, threw on this, and then stepped in front of the camera. So I think I win in the flake department in this challenge.
I mean, I will say, first of all, can we get into this like outdoor kitchen setup you have? Like, what is happening? How did you do this?
Well, so this is actually kind of, it's really birthed out of an unfortunate situation, but it turned into a good situation. Basically because of the coronavirus, obviously, I can't film in my set, which is usually in my garage with my cameraman, just because there's no circulation of air or anything like that. So I had to build a kitchen outdoors so that I can keep filming. And it turns out, I feel like this kitchen's like such a vibe.
Such a vibe. It gives me like cottage in the woods, campsite, like I'm rich so I can have a kitchen outside kind of thing.
Basically, although a little fun fact is that this all comes in the second we finish filming.
I would love to, I mean, if we want to take it back to current events, I would love to discuss and talk about Cardi B and Meg Thee Stallion's new music video, WAP. Also,
as you guys know, Cardi B is in my top 3 favorite humans in the whole world.
Cardi's amazing. I loved the video so much. I feel like it came at such a great time while we're all inside and like sad. It's like, you know, it's really, I mean, honestly, new music and new music videos have been getting me through the pandemic of just like something to look forward to. So, you know, seeing these two powerhouses join together and collaborate and show love to each other and lift each other up, like that's something that really brought me a lot of joy. And I wanted to sort of talk about like the idea of beauty and standards of beauty within the Black community versus standards of beauty in the white community. And I've talked to, and I have like, you know, white friends that I've talked to, and they'll tell me about like different things that they've gone through growing up in terms of like coming to terms with their body image because, you know, I think for most, you know, white people, especially who are teens and sort of growing up in like the 90s and early 2000s, the standard of beauty is like, you know, really thin, you know, white women, just sort of having like a really pencil thin physique. And, you know, there are a lot of white friends that I know, you know, that have struggled with eating disorders and things like that because of trying to attain that standard of beauty growing up. And that to me is like really interesting because I think for my personal community, like my personal Black community, and I think the Black community at large, I mean, even when you think of, you know, video vixens in the 2000s and in the 90s and like what they looked like, and all of them as Black women, like the standard of beauty for us was like being thick, I guess you could say, like having a, you know, a big butt, you know, thunder thighs, as you could say, like, you know, bigger boobs, and just sort of being a little bit more voluptuous and curvy. Like that's our standard of beauty, which is kind of the opposite from what a lot of my white friends say they grew up around trying to sort of emulate.
Just to interject, even though it's very off topic, let's cut the potatoes into 1-inch chunks.
Love that.
I love for Breaking Bread, it's like the balance of cooking and talking about an important topic. But yeah, that is definitely super interesting to hear that because, I mean, for me, I think one thing that I really love about the internet in general, and I think especially TikTok, because I think one of the most impactful things about TikTok in terms of social media is this concept of being served content that is from people you don't even know exist.
Yeah.
So one of the things that I really love about it is I feel like I've grown up in a very, in a community where everyone kind of looks exactly the same, everyone's the same religion, 99% of the people are the same race or ethnicity. And for me, one thing I really love about the internet in general, but I think especially TikTok, is it's so diverse. And what I think I really love about TikTok specifically is it feels, at least to me, like it's almost leveled the playing fields in terms of there's no executives at a big magazine or designer that needs to choose someone to become famous and make money off social media and have a big following, and they're not the ones necessarily defining what beauty is, but it's like the people watching can follow that, where there's plus size models who do fashion on TikTok, there's black models, women of color, things like that. So I feel like that's one thing that I think has been really impactful about TikTok, and I feel like it's obviously because of standards of beauty, it doesn't completely level it, but I feel like it makes it even closer than it was before.
Oh, absolutely.
Do you feel that?
Absolutely. I think TikTok is an interesting beast, right? Because it's like, and I recently, I would say in the last few months, I've gotten really into just scrolling on TikTok. I literally will get on before bed and I'll look up 2 hours later and I've been on TikTok for 2 hours.
Oh yeah, same.
And I think that's
Been there every day.
Yeah, I think that's pretty much the story for most people with TikTok. And I just love, kind of like you said, I love the whole idea that you can discover and start following people randomly versus the people who already have a lot of followers. I think the algorithm is more so I don't think the algorithm necessarily favors the quote unquote influencer that Instagram does.
Oh yeah, for sure.
I feel like it's definitely more like a level playing field, like you were saying. And I love that there are so many people getting a lot of love who do look different, who aren't, the stereotypical or the status quo. I do love that about it. I will say I feel like TikTok, it's a really fine line between appreciation and appropriation on that app.
Can we talk a little about that? I definitely think, because I sometimes get comments when I'm cooking Indian food or Mexican food of people telling me that I'm appropriating the culture because I'm cooking their food, even though I say where it's from, what region it's from. I try to talk about the history behind it. So I'd love to hear your thoughts on obviously it's a line it's super complex. It's not a line, it's more probably of a spectrum. But how do you define the difference between appropriation and appreciation? Because that's something I always try to be really sensitive about. For example, I did a video, here in America, a lot of people know it as golden milk. It's basically turmeric flavored milk, but in Indian culture, it's called haldi doodh. That's the name in Hindi. And I got a lot of comments and DMs from members of the Indian community who were thanking me, thank you so much for saying haldi doodh and not just the whitewashed name of golden milk.
Yeah.
But then there are also some people who are why do you even use the name golden milk? So I feel like it's definitely a spectrum rather than a line, but how do you define the difference?
Yeah, it's difficult because I think for me, so hearing about you and how you'll cook different meals from different regions and different, have sort of these different, I guess, kind of curating your own cultural experience with these different foods that we may not necessarily be, always cook in America or isn't quote unquote an American cuisine. So I think that, I think honestly for me, what makes what you're doing more appreciative versus appropriative is the fact that you're talking about the history, the fact that you're using the proper terms for these foods. And I think the only real way around that is to really go hard with the research and make sure your audience knows the importance and significance of these dishes. But also, if you can, getting someone from that region or getting an expert on that region and kind of featuring them or kind of uplifting people from the community who may not have as big of a following so that you can uplift members of that community while you're celebrating their food. I think things like that are what, I think it's giving back and helping to push forward members of that community that you are sort of, appreciating in that moment.
Yeah, no, I love that. And by the way, while we're talking about food, I'm going to be adding in my potatoes into the water. But yeah, that's definitely something I always try to do, especially when I have an Indian recipe that does really well, or even just in general, I try to make sure, because I make a lot of Indian food. My mom's doing Indian food ever since, even when I was in her womb, she ate Indian food, which is
Yeah.
why we think I'm so obsessed with it. And also, it
That's
happens
so
to be
cute.
2 of my neighbors are Indian, so I actually grew up like cooking with them and learning from them. So that's Indian food just been a big part of my life for my entire life. Just for the viewers watching, just to explain what we're doing now with potatoes. These potatoes we are now going to boil until they are fork soft. Fork soft is when you take one out of the water, you take a fork, and you're able to just pierce it super easily, and then it's time to mash potatoes. Once you boil the potatoes, like 99% of the work is done, and then it is mashed potato eating time. Alrighty, so add your potatoes just into whatever bowl or pot you want to use, and let's just start mashing them up. Scoop up your potatoes and press them through the ricer to make them into super duper small pieces. It's kind of a workout doing this. Whew. Smash.
So should I just smash these with a fork, huh?
Yeah, you could also just use a fork, and then once you start smashing, they're just not into big chunks. Then we will add in the rest of the ingredients. Now, before we shot this video, me and Freddie roasted some garlic. I will, in the description box down below, I will link to my website where you can find all the details how to do it. Basically, you just kind of cut the top off the garlic, roast in the oven with some olive oil until it gets nice and golden brown, and it will add the best flavor. How's your mashing going?
It's going. Actually, it's much easier than I thought it was going to be.
Now, into here, I'm going to add in a stick of melted butter. I love me some butter. All right, we're now going to add in our garlic, and now it should look like this. Is that what it looks like?
Yes, it does. I will say, this is very cool. I've never roasted like a head of garlic before. It's so soft. It's so brown. I just can't wait to like throw it into the mashed potatoes.
Yeah, so now just basically, it's a perfect vessel to just literally squeeze out from the bottom, and all the beautiful insides will, be careful, sometimes you get some of the flaky parts, but just squeeze it all out into your mashed potatoes. And what we do when we roast it is it just makes this beautiful flavor. It's kind of sweet, a little bit smoky, super savory. It just really is, in my opinion, one of the best ways to use garlic, and it's super simple, as you saw, to do.
Wow.
Alrighty, so we have our garlic in there, we have our butter, and now it is time to add in our heavy cream into there as well. Let's start with that. Salt and pepper. I recommend going pretty heavy on the salt in mashed potatoes. The potatoes really just kind of soak up the saltiness, and also add in a hefty amount of pepper.
Wait, how much heavy cream am I supposed to use again?
About 3/4 cup-ish.
Okay. So I'm gonna use garlic salt mainly because I'm not about to allow you to have more garlic flavor than me, Eitan. Because you have 2 heads of garlic and I have 1, so I'm gonna supplement with garlic salt.
I love that. Actually, my grandma, one of my grandma's cooking tips is every time she makes any dish with like real garlic, she'll also add in granulated or powdered garlic on top of it. So it's like
She sounds like my type of lady.
Oh yeah, for sure. She seasons her. I feel like seasoning your food heavily runs in my family.
I love that. I love that story. Okay, so should I try it now?
Yeah,
And
so
see what
mashed up here.
happens?
Can you show up to the camera what it looks like? We'll compare mashed potatoes. Oh, that looks pretty fire.
Yeah.
Oh, I love
it. Yours are so smooth.
Well, so you do get that from the
Are you-
ricer, but it's definitely not.
Yeah. Are you a
necessary.
smooth mashed potato person, or do you like it lumpy?
Can I give the annoying answer of both? I think they're like
Yeah.
they're kind of like different moods. Do you feel
Yeah,
me?
I hear you.
Like sometimes like really creamy mashed potatoes where it's like just like you almost like it's almost like a sauce consistency.
Slurp it. Yeah,
Like a
you
thick
slurp
sauce,
it
like,
up.
slurp it, but then sometimes you want chunky. All right, let's give it a try. How is it? We can season even more.
Oh, it's It's
like
very good, but I'm gonna add more salt.
Yeah, that's the thing about potatoes. If you undersalt them, it's like flavor has left the chest.
Yeah. I love that metaphor. Flavor has left the chat. Okay.
How is it now? Do you taste the garlic, hopefully?
I do. It's so good.
Should be like
Oh
super.
my gosh.
Yeah, isn't the roasted? I feel like roasted garlic takes mashed potatoes to a whole other level.
Oh, it definitely does. Like I taste that little bit of sweetness that it added. It's so good.
Yeah, it's quite delicious. Well, this was super fun. Thank you so much for coming on to Breaking Bread. I hope you enjoyed, and now you know how to make the mashed potatoes that you like eating.
Yeah, I mean, this was so easy. I've never made mashed potatoes before, and I think I thought I needed like a hand mixer to make them. So I never was like, okay, I'll just like order them or eat potatoes in a different form. But now that I know it's this easy, I'm like, I could easily implement this into other meals. So thank you so much for having me.
Mashed potatoes every night.
Yes,
Basically.
mashed potatoes every night, basically.
That is on the quarantine menu for the next 3 months, at least. But yes, this was super fun. Also super fun talking all about the differences between appropriation and appreciation, something that I think is super important, especially in the food media world right now. I don't know if you've been following all the drama going on in the food world, but there is quite a lot of it. So I think that's a really important topic, especially in food, as well as the standards of white beauty, black beauty. These are all really important topics to learn about that for me are something that I always try to keep myself educated on, and it's important for you guys too as well. And if you guys haven't already, be sure to follow Freddie on all the social medias. I will link them all down below. Hope you guys enjoyed watching this episode of Breaking Bread. If you haven't already, be sure to click the big red subscribe button down below to be the first time I post new videos, and hit the like button if you enjoyed watching, and comment down below what is your favorite form of potato. We're gonna start the ultimate debate. Are you team French fry? Are you team mashed potato? Are you team baked potato? Let me know down below. Freddie, thank you so much for coming on, and I think if you need us, we'll just be eating mashed potatoes.
Me too.
Cheers.
Cheers.